This week I've been getting really excited and rehearsing for my tour with Christina Grimmie and Before You Exit around the UK in actually a couple of weeks. It's in February, it's going to be awesome. If you did want tickets, there's still a few left at some of the venues. I'll put the link below and you can check that out. So today I wanted to show you some of my favourite things to take on tour, whether that's just home comforts like tea bags, because you often do run out of tea bags, which is a nightmare, or just things to make the touring go smoothly. I want to start with spare equipment. Spare plectrums, spare capos, spare strings. I once didn't take a spare capo and it nearly ended in tears, so I'm never going to do that again. This one is one that I've got recently from Kaiser. This is the first sort of springy one like this that I can move really easily up and down my fretboard, and I don't know why I've only just got one of these because they've made life so much easier. Plectrums. Now these are my favourite plectrums. They're both 0.88mm. They're both Dunlop. I think this is a maxi grip and this is a Tortex. So they have a slightly different feel, but this is definitely the width that I always choose because mostly when I'm playing live I do rhythmic strumming or I do palm muting, and if I'm not doing either of those two then I'll be finger picking. I prefer picking with my fingers rather than with a plectrum, so I don't really have a need for thicker or thinner plectrums. When I'm on tour I really aim to give the best performance that I possibly can at each show, and one of the ways that I try and do this is by staying comfortable during the travelling between each show, because you can really get a bit groggy, and being in a cramped van or car for however many hours between the cities can really take it out of you. So I like to take comfort clothes. Comfy socks, very important. When I'm in the van or the car and I'm not driving, I like to take my shoes off and put my comfy socks on and hibernate basically for the whole journey. These socks came from Next. I really needed some boot socks at the time and I thought they looked cool, but they're also really, really cozy as well. These black Nike high tops are my go-to touring shoe, and that might sound ridiculous, but it's very important to be comfortable when you're traveling, and I also really like performing in these as well. They're just very, very comfy shoes, and so it's a no-brainer. So food-wise, depending on where we're going, I do like to take a couple of things just as home comforts or just in case I get a bit hungry on the road. Obviously. If it's not Yorkshire tea, it's not a cup of tea. It's quite difficult when you're on the road to eat healthy and stay like you're feeling healthy, so I do like to take multivitamins. Touring does really test my immune system, but if I take multivitamins as I'm going along, it seems to keep me going. If you're lucky enough to not be driving, then it's very important to take a pillow. This will mean that you get a lot of rest, especially on the journey between each venue. But then if you do get that rest, you are gonna need one of these. The amount of times that we've pulled up to a venue where I've slept the whole way, and then someone's gone, "We're here," and there's people outside queuing to get into the venue, and my head looks like Edward Scissorhands' hair, basically. If I'm going on a fairly long tour, I do like to take a fairly decent microphone and this little gadget here. It's small enough that it fits in my bag, and it's actually a really good interface. It's by Focusrite. It's called the iTrack Solo, and basically it means that any ideas that I have for songs for when I come back home and I'm going to be recording them in the studio, I can get them down in a really good quality demo version. So I do like to take this along with me, and most of the time I have space for this because look how small it is. Now, one thing that I take on every tour that's really, really important to me are my in-ear monitors. I didn't have any of these for many years whilst touring, and I got them last year, and it's just made such an incredible difference to how much I can hear when I'm on stage, and it helps so much in finding pitch with your voice. It's just incredible. These ones are Ultimate Ears, and these are the UE7s. So basically, to wear these just go around the back here, usually under my clothes as well, and then just onto your ears. So they're a bit weird. They feel a bit weird to put in initially because you have to sort of twist and then push them in. But once they are in, they're totally noise cancelling and just deliver the most amazing quality of sound. So it's really helped with me finding my vocal pitch live. I'd never go back. So I take these and use these at every show that I possibly can because I feel like they really help to give the best performance. Earlier today, I asked you for questions on Twitter relating to touring, so I'm going to answer some of those now. So Mark asks, how many guitars do you bring? That depends entirely on whether I'm playing by myself or with an extra guitarist or with a full band, but personally, if I'm just playing by myself or with an extra guitarist, I usually, ideally would bring 2 acoustic guitars or electroacoustics. just so that I've got a choice between two, and if one messes up then I can use the other one. Maron asks, will you tour here in the Philippines? It's crazy and amazing to know that the greatest population of my fan base lives in the Philippines and Indonesia, and so I'm definitely looking into doing a Southeast Asia tour. Ricky asks, what is your favourite kind of pick? So this one is definitely my favourite. It's a 0.88mm and it's by Jim Dunlop. Eleanor asks, favourite thing to bring on tour? Out of all of my favourite things, I'd probably say socks. Rafaela asks, what's the lifesaver item that you take with you on tour? Probably a spare iPhone charger, because if you lose your iPhone charger, it's over. Ben asks, could you imagine touring for over a year like today's big time acts do? Will tour schedules look pretty overwhelming? Yeah, I think that would be awesome. It would be difficult, and it would be, you know, quite a test on, as I said, immune system, and also missing people back home, but a world tour sounds absolutely awesome, so I'd be well up for that. Trigwell asks, is there room for me in your tour bag? Definitely not. My tour bag is always absolutely crammed to the brim. I actually broke the zip on the last suitcase that I used on tour, so I'm sorry, there's no room. Rachie asks, favourite tour snack? Will Dewsbury, my guitarist, aka Waxwing, introduced me to a chocolate bar called Crunch that I'm obsessed with now and can't get enough of it. So that would probably be my go-to snack, even though it's very, very unhealthy. Michael asks, favourite drinks? If we're talking about soft drinks, I actually really like water and also orange juice. But if we're talking about drinks, I love Disaronno on the rocks. Triglets US also asks, where does Theo stay when you're on tour? Theo lives at my parents' house, so he just stays there. He's probably not even aware that I've gone on tour, but he does like it when I come home, so. For those of you who don't know who Theo is a cat that features regularly on my Instagram. Breck asks, do you have any tour traditions? If I'm just touring with my guitarist Will, then we do tend to listen to the same Phil Collins album over and over and over on every single journey of that tour. Triglets US asks, what's your favourite thing to do after you perform or after the gig is finished? I like to just sort of stand or sit after I've got off the stage and just take a minute to chill out. My favourite thing to do after I've taken that moment is to meet everyone at merch stand. It's so amazing to be able to meet people that are listening to your music online that you've never met before, people that have been helped by your music or even that just love your music. It's really cool to hear about stuff like that. Michaela asks, when are you going to tour the USA? The waiting is really starting to become unbearable. I'm working on it, and when I say that I'm working on it, I really am. I'm talking to a few different people about how we can make this happen, and when dates are scheduled, I will let you all know. I hope you all enjoyed this vlog. I'm gonna go back to rehearsing, and I will see you all next time.